I will argue that awards does not only give pride for big artists, but a chance for newcomer and small artists to thrive in this industry. Before that, 2 points of model. Firstly, we will challenge the example and scenario that PM puts in this debate, because awards and recognition is not just some corrupt big awards. It's not limited to just Grammy. We say that small awards like most listened to in Spotify or SJTP Awards in Indonesia and All Sort is also counted as a award in this debate because context like does not specifically set big awards. Second, this debate should not only care about big artists like what PM argue, but about the whole industry also, and we will prove how we can get that under our side of the house, under side oppositions. But before any of my arguments, 2 flaws and 2 rebuttals. First flaw, PM Case falls down to this debate when he proposed to use multiple different harms with awards, like artists feeling bad if they didn't get it, but also said that, oh, people don't care anymore about awards. So we say if that is true, that people really don't care, then the problem is non-existence. This crumbles down all PM Case and all the urgency that he brought in this debate. Second, PM said because they don't see Grammy as important anymore, this harms the artists that will get an award. We can easily flip this panel. This is not a this house reverse world where everything starts from zero. The second you oppose this, awards becomes invalid. Awards will be erased from status quo. So we're arguing that happened, all the hard work and all the blood, sweat, and tears that the artist has put will be counted as nothing, and that is something that is exclusively happening under side proposition. We say that is immoral. First rebuttals then. Their whole explanations about why this is bad is because it is sort of corrupt and how big executive paid for artists to be nominated, or it is just exclusive. Few responses. Firstly, no, this is not true because it is still an award including voting. If they were so to be corrupt, we'll have viewers literally calling out awards and saying it is unfair. Who is like this unknown artist getting Grammy? Call out mechanisms exist. Second, but if artists do have problems with awards, there are multiple other awards they can opt into. We don't just offer you one. But third and lastly, moreover, our awards is not just limited to those, but also the most listened to in Spotify, which is purely reliant on the idea of quantity of streams to begin with. You cannot corrupt that. So PM example is truly cherry-picking to begin with. We said there are other truthful awards for people to opt into. Second rebuttals, how artists are forced to do things that is favoring our society and not expressing themselves. Firstly, no, this is so wrong because a good artist is a good artist that has their own style of pop, for instance. It's really hard for you to fake how you feel about something, then create songs out of it, out of that fake preference or emotions you're having. But even if they do things like that society likes, we say it's inherently symmetrical because that's how people get fame, to get money, and so many other things. And their art is suited to most people. We say it's fine. Third and lastly, about how expressing themselves, we will argue it's going to be easier on our side because with these recognitions, usually they have the best songs or most played songs in certain genre. So each genre that is not pop, that is not the majority favorite, can have a place to shine and get a spotlight, which is exclusive under our side of the house. Two arguments I'm going to bring in this speech. Firstly, how does awards and recognitions plays itself out in our current society? And second, why awards and having new recognitions as a prerequisite for small artists to improve. First then, how does awards and recognition plays itself out in our current society? Panel, I'm going to argue firstly, status quo. This is to directly clash with PMK saying people really don't care about it. We say people still do care. Every Grammy is still popular. Every Spotify list is still popular. It's all over TikTok. It's all over the news. I don't get why then they suddenly undermine the current status quo, for example, because people still do care about, oh, what are they wearing to the Grammy? Oh, what are they wearing to Oscar? This is proof that people still do care. So all the status quo mechanisms that they put under side propositions is untrue. First layer then, why small artists is harder to get known without awards and recognitions? Two reasons. First, is the bias of people that already like their favorite big artists tends to think that others are not as good. So when newcomers enter, they're already having tough time without anything backing them up. Second, but the only thing that they can change is the getting the small recognitions one by one, because those Spotify lists matter to people. Even if it's not going to be a step-by-step analysis that is going to be exclusive under our side of the house. Panel, third layer then. Allowing that award will create a perverse incentive that actually harms these certain artists and it actually harms the music industry as a whole. Three reasons. Firstly, is because there is not any push or a certain mechanism for a small artist that is created to get a new recognitions. The people that will most likely become famous will be the people that already has good producer, that is already having utmost privilege and all of those fancy things. These are the people that will remain on top because no new recognition. It's harder for small artists to come out. Even if they want to come out, it's harder because they don't have the capacity to do so. Second, when this happens to the music industry, we'll argue that competitions become slower because whoever is on top will remain on top for a long time, and And this is crucial when there is not likelihood for newcomers to take the stage. The current artist has no push or incentivizations to create a huge album, a creative album, and new music now, because whatever they put already have the upper hand that people will like because they are already well known that those newcomers cannot do. Thirdly, people lost their rights to have good art and to listen to good music as a calming mechanisms, to watch movies to handle stress, and as a mechanisms to be happy. The things that people acquired under side propositions will inherently be low quality of art. Side proposition sacrifices the whole art and music industry. When this happens, everyone is going to experience gruesome things and the art industry is going to vanish little by little. One point of preemptions before my second argument. If proposition wants to say that this creates a toxic competition, that you only value artists that is good when they have Grammy only, three responses why this won't happen. First, this is false because even if you don't have Grammy, people can still like you when you're the most listened to in Spotify, when you actually create a concert and sang well and suddenly get blow up in social media. But second, I also don't think that people suddenly love artists when they have more Grammy, because what truly matters is whether or not it's within their preference. For example, if I really like pop and the most listened to artist or like one of the biggest Grammy Awards winner is actually pop, I won't suddenly like pop just because there is a well-known Grammy Award that is a pop artist. This is inherently unlikely to happen. But third and lastly, but even if it does becomes like competitions to get awards, we say it's inherently fine because at least competition exists to improve the quality of art and music or film industry rather than what proposition wants to do, that is justifying and letting them be just mediocre and staying stagnant. We will take the trade-off. We will have the improvements. Second argument, why awards and having new recognitions as a prerequisite for small artists to improve. Panel, understand. Small artists does not have the privilege to have most famous producer, to have more money, to have a good music videos. They have to put their blood, sweat, and tears into this. What can actually help them to get much more views are certain awards and also recognitions, even the slightest counts. I know proposition will argue how it generally seems inaccessible for people to get because they have to fight against this huge artist to begin with. But three reasons why an award and recognitions will still be accessible for small and newcomers. Firstly, this does not have to be Grammy. This can be most listened songs in Spotify or most used songs or sounds in TikTok, for instances. These are the simple yet accessible recognitions that small artists can get under our side of the house. But second, but also we will argue to you that there are multiple different artists that got more recognition through TikTok or Spotify. And this is so easy to happen. Like an artist that promotes her song as a background music of a non-existing movie, or simply Tate McRae that is starting from YouTube and recognition on Spotify and on TikTok. And this is the step-by-step that is likely to happen under our side of the house. She gets Spotify awards. Her song was played millions and billions of times, and that is how she gets famous, and she is a famous musician now. And this is something that's exclusive because without these certain awards, without these certain things, all the people get when they are listened to a lot has no recognition and has no effects in society. In conclusion, we proved to you how award is still accessible and truthful. We explained to you how this is a prerequisite for small commerce or new artists to get some recognitions, and how the existence of newcomers is a priority of this industry to improve. Never been prouder to oppose this motion.